Okay, that was a bit abruptive, but we are live now, and hello and welcome to our very first cardcast. So my name is
Yeah,
Lo.
I'm excited. Oops. Got
Hello,
jumped in. Hi.
my name is Loki, and today we're going to be starting our hopefully regular podcast about card games.
Yeah, so all things card games, right? So
All things card games. So not only the card games that we're mostly known for, which is the Dragon Ball, but we generally love all sorts of card games. So we want to start covering more stuff like that. And yes, I'm animated. You can see me on camera, which didn't happen on the earlier stream today. Scott's camera sadly gave up.
it's just like 2021, it disappeared.
So that will hopefully be, sorted. But we have a lovely, clear picture of Scott this way, somewhere.
In
Oh,
case you didn't know what I look like.
this way. There we go.
Mm.
So that's our lovely Scott, and I'm here. You can see my mess, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's. I don't have a good view of the chat, so I do hope that whatever's going to be happening, Scott is going to be paying attention to that, because I do need to be paying more attention to stream today.
You do. So I'll be monitoring chat. If anyone wants to comment, of course, feel free. But yeah, let's get into it then. So we've got a couple of news headlines that we want to talk about, and then our big discussion is generally going to be about 2022 card games. We're also going to be talking quite a bit about Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. I think that's something that's caught both our attention this week. And of course, to round it out, we're going to just have a bit of a discussion about webcams and in person going into 2022.
Yeah,
So that's on the agenda for today.
the big question of will we be able to play in person or not? But yeah, just starting off very quickly. So I'm going. So let's just show what we're looking at. So we're going to start with Akora Tcg, which we have. Well, Scott has very close cooperation with them. I personally am also really interested in the game. So our channel has a good connection to them. Recently, they had the Japanese pack released, and I think
Yeah, the Japanese promos.
they're on the line now. They're waiting for the first print, aren't they?
Yeah, so Kickstarter is going to arrive sometime this month, hopefully, fingers crossed. No more delays or pandemics, please. I mean, the cards were ever delayed. The Kickstarter did say December or January, so fingers crossed. But in the meantime, they released 10,500 Japanese promo packs, which is basically just the cards with some new artwork in Japanese. And yeah, they sold out in about 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah. So
So
there is a video
pretty
of the
impressive.
cards that Scott received on our
Yeah, and you can
channel.
win. You can win some. So go and check that video out.
So that was a quick strike there. Then another one is Grand Archive. One of the games that we did the print and play for. There was two new versions of print and play since,
Yeah, so we'll have to get around to covering that again very soon.
but it's one of the interesting things. So we had two Kickstarters for new card games alongside, and both very very popular, and both
Yeah,
hit just short of $1 million.
yeah, which is really impressive, right? I mean, there's been nothing like it before, and I think this again. This is just me speaking here. I think this is the peak of the Kickstarter TCG trend. Like I can't see something going above this because both Grand Archive and the other one, which is NOSTALGIX, were both really well marketed. They both got the game in people's hands as quickly as possible, so they could try before they buy, essentially. And yeah, they've both been built up with quite a bit of hype. Um, do I love everything that either of them have done? No, not 100%. But the new games always make mistakes, right? Like things will always happen.
Yeah.
But we are gonna just immediately discredit them because they've gone a different route to the traditional model.
One thing I
So
definitely want to say that is those games, even though they come out at the same time, or they were on Kickstarter at the same
roughly,
time,
right? Yeah.
uh, they marketed totally differently and they play totally differently.
Yeah, They're not like the same game at all. Like Nostalgics feels like Hearthstone meets Vanguard meets Yu-Gi-Oh,
Nostalgics,
and
as the name suggests, it's that nostalgic game, isn't it? It
I would
brings
say,
back to people who used to play card games. It brings back feeling of Duel Masters, at least for me. Some of that World of Warcraft with how you attack, the limited space of Yu-Gi-Oh. You have all of those elements there.
and then of course Grand Archive very much flesh and blood and magic influenced.
Yes, yes.
Um,
Company Weaves of the Shore, definitely not inspired by anything.
no, of course, right? No, of course, just definitely not. And of course, you can check out our interviews with Alan and Zaba, the creators of both those games. Um, which again, we want to welcome the new generation of TCGs, right? Because you have to accept, and the video game industry has kind of done the same thing here. Like they went through a phase of the only way you can get a game made is if you have a publisher, and then it gets published, right? Like,
Yeah.
but then in the early 2000s, indie games really started to blow up, and then Kickstarter games came after that. And we've seen that. We've seen indie TCGs that don't reach the super high successes, but still go around. So like things like Force of Will come to mind, and like other smaller TCGs that kind of exist. They've done it in a traditional model, but they're not on the big boys table.
So definitely the best example of the card game not made by a huge company, by a corporate, is Flesh and Blood, right?
I would say so. Yeah, I think
It
that was
was,
the last bastion of the traditional model.
yeah, but it's nice to see that we have Nostalgics, Grand Archive, Akora, all the games that, at least on the surface, look more towards the community, and they actually, all of those games are heavily towards the community, which is shown by the fact that, for example, Grand Archive changed some of their designs based on the community reaction.
Yeah, like there's a lot of good feedback here, and again, no TCG is perfect, and no TCG is certainly perfect in its early days. If you go back to Magic, you go back to Yu-Gi-Oh, you go back to Pokemon. Literally, you look back at you look back at Dragon Ball, like when they first start. There's going to be some balancing issues. There's going to be teething problems. These things are bound to happen. So don't just write them off just because they're crowdfunded. Don't just write them off because the secondary market is there. Like people actually like to play Nostalgics and Akora and Grand Archive. That's a huge thing for me, and we've played all those games. Like,
I would just say that if we're going back to the beginnings of Dragon Ball and beginnings of Digimon, if we add that, here it seems that there's actually going to be a communication between the creators and the player base. Something that was
yeah,
in Flesh and Blood as well. There
yeah,
is a
like,
communication between the designers of the game and the community. One of the things that was the biggest problem at the start of Dragon Ball, and it still is to the extent, is that there is not direct communication with the designers.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So hopefully, because we're only seeing the first sets, right? I mean, I know MetaZoo has released its second set at this point, but MetaZoo's a very interesting game that I won't slander it, right? They're a success. They're a success story, but in terms of gameplay, not up our alley.
MetaZoo is
But
definitely one of those meme games.
right, yeah, like
It did better than Munchkin card game.
oh yeah, that was a thing. That
Yeah,
was a thing.
it was not
But yeah,
marketed at all.
I'm curious to see where these games will go with their second sets, and in Grand Archive's case, see what the full set actually ends up being because we don't actually know the full set of Dawn of Ashes, right?
Yes, that's right. The set is still being designed and cards are still being changed while working and testing with the community.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, so at the
Yeah.
moment the release date is planned for September.
So in terms of like the new generation TCGs, we've got quite a lot to look forward to. Akora will be making its big debut this year as well. I keep saying next year because I think it's 2021 still.
Nope.
Hopefully, Nostalgics comes across the board. I know Grand Archive's very much going to be focused on America for the first bit, but we'll still be supporting it here in the UK. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We'll see where those talks come out at because they do have an organized play system. So fingers crossed we can get that set up.
Organized play system is another thing I really want to touch on because it is one of those things that I think it's absolutely amazing
Mm.
because we had a whole video, so we're not going to go in depth on this. But the TLDR is the more you play, the better season rewards you can get.
Oh yeah, and I think that's a really progressive and interesting way of making it happen, right?
Yeah.
Like, I am all for trying to get people playing in person, which we'll tie that back into our topic at the end of the show. Yeah, overall, it's looking quite healthy for new TCGs, but where on the landscape do we have the stalwarts, the big three, the Pokemons, the Magics, the Yu-Gi-Ohs? Like, do we really know much about what's happening with Magic and Pokemon this year, apart from obviously more set releases, more secret lairs?
Oh,
Like,
because secret lairs are. So if we want to talk Magic, I think Magic we need to wait a tiny bit longer because we just finished the spoiler season for Kamigawa, which they
mm,
moved from the old feudal Japan to that cyberpunk style of things. But we're definitely going to come back to Magic when the spoiler season starts for Lord of the Rings set, for the next D&D set, and for the Warhammer 40k Commander decks.
that's the thing that interested me the most this year out of Magic. Like, I didn't really care about Magic growing up. I got into it when Ixalan introduced dinosaurs, and then left when dinosaurs stopped being a thing again. So that's my love of Magic. I mean, I've
You
always
had a
played
brief
Commander.
span of interest when the Godzilla was a thing.
Well, yeah, but that's because it's Godzilla. That was nothing to do with Magic.
Yeah,
It was
but
because it was Godzilla.
the Godzilla thing here is actually what keeps on being brought back, right?
Mm,
Godzilla was introduced well as the universes beyond, because that's what they call the additional franchises.
mm.
So Stranger Things, Walking Dead, all Lord of the Rings, all that stuff. It's called universes beyond. So it's like the planes of magic that are further apart. That's not easy to planeswalk to.
Makes sense. Makes
Uh,
sense. And yeah,
but
so
Godzilla was
40k.
not mechanically unique, and in the meantime, we had Secret Lairs for Walking Dead and Stranger Things, which are mechanically unique.
Mm,
Which they
which is the whole thing.
kind of reprint the Stranger Things as a magic counterparts of them, so not with the same characters, etc. But
Yeah.
it still feels weird.
Yeah, so the 40k stuff I'm excited for, and I like playing Commander. I always have enjoyed playing Commander. It's just fun. So Pokemon again, just probably more releases of Pokemon cards, right? Like that hype train
Oh no,
don't stop.
Pokemon actually is in a process of redesigning their online client because they're making a
Yeah,
brand new online
Pokemon
client.
Live. Yeah, Pokemon Live or whatever
Yeah,
it's
the
called.
PTCGO is going to be made redundant. It's kind of like what Magic did with MTGO, and then they made Magic Arena, right? It's
Yeah, yeah,
kind.
I guess.
It's the same thing happening to Pokemon right now.
Which I think is a really interesting thing to talk about because we're seeing all the big three, right? When we talk about card games, the big three, Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, they're all transitioning to an online client, which I think brings us on nicely to Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel.
Yep. So Master Duel is the name of the actual Yu-Gi-Oh that we play compared to the Duel Links, which was the Speed Duel. But they're finally releasing an official client, and they're doing, from my point of view, they're doing an amazing job building the marketing for it. Because every week we get a video showing us a different part of it.
Mm.
One of the first videos was in Japanese. The rest is actually on the European Yu-Gi-Oh channel. So it's definitely worth to check it out. It's all in English, so you can check it out. We're going to show you some chosen screenshots of this. But this one from the Japanese stream is one I'm interested in mostly because it just shows that it's going to be multi-platform. And
Mm.
unlike some of the games that recently were released that have problem with having the same account on different platforms, this one is going to track your record between the different platforms.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be all one save, right? Like it's all
Yeah,
going to be in the cloud.
it's going to be
Um,
that one account.
it's going to be on Xbox, like so. It's going to be on consoles, phone, and PC, right? Like the major places it's going to be, which I actually think is a really huge bonus for Yu-Gi-Oh! Like being able to be across all those platforms. Because as far as we know, Pokemon Live is just going to be phone and PC,
Yeah.
and Magic Arena is phone and
Switch as
PC.
well. Pokemon Live is also going to be on Switch.
Oh, it's going to be on Switch as well. Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
But again, that won't come to Xbox or PlayStation because Nintendo being Nintendo.
Yeah.
Um,
It might
I'd be very shocked.
eventually, but
No, no.
I wouldn't count for this.
I wouldn't
But
expect it.
there's additional news regarding the Master Duels, which you might not be aware of.
Mm.
And that is that you probably will be able to play different formats.
Oh, that's exciting.
Because they recently made an announcement, which I think it was somewhere in December, which we didn't cover at all. But they made an announcement that official tournament organizers are actually allowed to run different formats for their local events, provided that once a month they run an actual Master Duel format, so with the standard format.
Huh? So break that down for me.
So, have you ever heard about the GOAT format?
Yeah, I know a good format. Yeah.
So, the tournament organizers are allowed to run an official supported tournament for the GOAT format.
Oh, that's good.
And any other format they want to make.
Okay.
There is a whole document on that lets official tournament organizers, my local game store, the Brotherhood Games, they created their own 2.5, where they ban the top decks or they nerf some of the more powerful decks so people can have more fun playing, so you don't play the free turn combo.
Yeah.
The free turn game. And they will be allowed to run this on the official Yu-Gi-Oh tournament system. It will count towards getting the tournament packs, etc., and it will keep on giving them the points to run the regionals, etc. So all the attendance you get on those events is going to count towards what you're doing.
And this ties into Master Duel.
Because when you play online, right, you usually play your ranked games.
Okay.
But Konami officially accepted that there are other formats people want to play. Which means that Master Duel will most likely let you play those formats. Which means if you don't enjoy the current Yu-Gi-Oh, the current format is not for you, you prefer to play GOAT, you could potentially have a queue that's only for GOAT on the Master Duels.
Oh, that could be interesting. Or like just the first like Legend of Blue Eyes and
yeah, also all sorts of things seem to be possible in here.
Okay.
Which
So it's pretty good. It's a pretty good base. It seems to cover a lot of bases, right? Like that's
yeah. And if they're going to do something that Magic Online had ages ago, where you could literally create your own formats. And
awesome.
you could create your own queues for the formats. It would be amazing for Yu-Gi-Oh! To be able to do that. If they give us an option to build a cube, or just even draft, because you know I'm a huge sealed player.
You are, yeah.
Which in our games that we cover, we don't have much choice, much opportunity to actually play sealed. But I am a huge sealed player. I love drafting. It's absolute blast for me, and yeah, I do hope that we're going to see a bit more of the Yu-Gi-Oh drafting, which was never huge while we had in-person events, but online it should be possible.
Yeah, I'm excited to see more, and obviously from a content creation standpoint, like it's a lot easier for us to make videos via a game application than it is just to record with a camera and fill up SD card space and have to edit it down. Like at least we can stream on a regular basis, Pokemon Live, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, for example. Probably not Magic Arena. Probably not Magic Arena.
Magic Arena. So there's one concept in Master Duel that already makes it look better than Magic Arena.
Okay.
You are allowed to dismantle your own cards for the crafting materials.
Okay, so we're getting a crafting system. So do we know much about that system yet, or is it still to be revealed?
It's 3 cards to 1. So when you dismantle a card, you get 1 resource of the rarity. So you get a rare card, for example. You get 1 rare gem. It takes 3 rare gems to craft a rare card.
Okay.
So
how is rarity? Is rarity based on the rarity in real life?
We don't know that yet because we don't know what are the packs. The packs are purposefully hidden from us, so we don't know if the names of the packs are the same. We don't know what's the card content in it. You need to remember Yu-Gi-Oh has 10,000 cards.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
So if they want to introduce everything, there needs to be some baseline. There needs to be some cards that are given out for free immediately, beside the starter decks, obviously.
Yeah, I
And
mean, it's gonna be free to play, right? Like, there's no
yeah,
price of
it is looking like it's
admission.
going to be free to play because there is a premium currency, and I do hope they're going mostly with the vanity items as a monetization.
Yeah, right.
So
Like, you can get shiny foil leader places. I mean, the best thing for monetization is these mates that you can see on the side here. So one's Rescue Rabbit, one's Pot of Greed.
yeah, you have your
Uh,
coins, you have your sleeves that you can change. Every half of the board is your own that you can change as well. You can equip them.
does it not change with a field spell then?
I don't think so, but here you can, for example, see that both players have a different field.
I mean, the bottom one looks like a Blue Eyes field almost.
Yeah, pretty much like that like a Blue Eyes Temple, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And the upper one is the default field, which reminds
Okay.
me a lot of the jungle arena in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. So yeah, there's a lot of like cosmetic things that we can see
Yeah,
here that you could monetize, and I don't think many people would have a problem with them being monetized if the cards are easy to get. Right, if the grind outweighs the necessity, right? Because if I can remember correctly, because I haven't played Duel Links in years, didn't like wasn't the way you got packs basically with premium currency, but you could grind that premium currency, and that was about it. Right, that's like the only way to get cards, really. Or
yeah.
has
So
that
there were some
changed?
cards you could get from the card trader. Some of the cards you could only win off the NPCs, but the core set of the decks were
Mm.
usually in the packs. But every time a new pack came out, for about 2 or 3 weeks, you could grind tons of premium currency to buy those packs. You could
Yeah,
essentially buy 2 boxes if you played daily for the 2 or 3 weeks.
but what my thinking is like as long as I can grind, because I mean you know it's like we're both players who can grind, and we will grind, and we will just grind. Like it,
Yeah.
if the option is there to grind, I'm gonna grind. I mean, my uni friends know this more than anything. They'll come down. It's like sort of 24 hours later. Scott, you still doing the same thing? Yep, just gotta try and get my nice golden gun. Yeah, it's problems, right? But like so, if I can grind a currency in the game, or at least keep scrapping these cards to forge cards that I
Yeah,
want.
if there are quests that give you cards, if there are quests that if you're not limited to just doing one daily quest like on Magic Arena. Because
Yeah,
Magic
like
Arena does not support you playing a lot. You just log in, do your daily, log out.
as long as things that are mechanically like unique, right? Like the cards themselves, as long as you can access it, right? Because I do not mind if, for premium currency's sake, you take Elemental Hero Avion and you can get an alt art with premium currency. As long as I can earn Avion pretty easily,
Yeah.
then I don't care.
So there is
That's an
actually a
example because I'm a
foiling
hero.
effects that you can get on your cards, which are not part of. So when you craft a card, you have a very small chance that it's going to be, for example, an ultimate rare or starlight foil or whatever it is. We don't know what it is yet.
Okay.
But I noticed that on the first stream they showed on the gameplay, that some of the cards are shiny in their hands, which I think is kind of like animated, or they just give you, like a shiny Pokemon. They give you a bit of a sparkle.
Mm.
So you can get those, and when you're crafting a card, apparently there's a small chance that you will get not only the basic version of the card, but you can get that shiny version of the card, which I think is kind of like ultimate rares.
Which I'm totally down with, right? And if premium currency is what that is, as long as premium currency just doesn't make it where, I mean, it will be part of the game, and I don't doubt it won't be. But like, as long as it's not like, oh, here's this new set, you can only get it with premium currency. Yes, you can earn premium currency in game by doing X, Y, and Z. But as long as it's not like, here is the only way, here is the only way you can earn this booster pack. Like, if there's a, here, you can pay premium gems and get something, but you can also use coins to get the packs as well. And then the coin ratio is like 10,000 to one pack or something like that.
Yeah. If we're
As
talking
long as
about
it's earnable.
things to do in the game, apparently there's going to be an extensive solo mode, which gets
Yeah.
me really excited because I love lore of all sorts of things. When I was playing Magic, the lore of Magic was all I could talk about until the War of the Spark, because after that, the lore kind of disappeared.
Yeah, and the interesting thing they start off with is Monarchs in the trailer. And I
Yeah,
really liked Monarchs.
so did I. And yeah, they teach you how the deck works, and apparently you have some rewards from doing that as well.
Yeah, so I don't like these are the things where I'm like, okay, if I buy a starter deck and then get this out, like the way to play the starter deck, that's cool. Like, but it just seems weird to me that like oh, here's a monarch thing, but I don't have any monarch cards. So I'm curious as to what this system actually is. For me, this script like this tells me that like, oh, you can get a monarch deck, and then when you get a deck, you can unlock this how to play kind of thing
Well, I
for the
think
deck.
no, this here they show you monarchs because there's a whole story that's limited to monarchs. But from what they said, we are actually going to see the whole dual terminal story, which
Oh,
in the
okay.
West we didn't get to see.
So kind of like heroes coming to
Yeah,
uh
yeah. So
okay,
that's
that's interesting.
how they're going to be telling the story. And dual terminal stories is across I think 12 archetypes.
Oh right, okay. So if you do skip forward in this trailer, you do actually see some other things they showed, and I don't think I recognized any of the others. Yeah, because I don't the six elemental lords don't have a clue what that is.
Six element warriors of the six elemental lords. That was an archetype on its own, but it was based on the elemental lords that could only be summoned if you had exactly five monsters in your graveyard with the given attribute, and they all shared an effect that when they were removed from the from the monster zone, either bounce back
Mhm.
to hand or something like that, you skipped your next turn's battle phase.
Yeah. And so, like, the thing is, it says solo mode, and then it gives you two things there. Like, obviously, it's work in development, and so I just feel like the tutorial and duel strategy will be there for everyone.
Yeah.
But I think, like, if you get if you buy, say, a starter deck for the
I
Empire, then maybe that's where it'll get. Or this will be your released. Like, oh, here's the second chapter of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Here's a new campaign to go through.
Yeah, I think the Monarch deck is actually one of the better decks to give to players logging in.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on that. I think
Because
it's a really
I
fun
assume we're going to get
strategy.
about 5, 6 like a basic starter decks, structure decks, most
I
likely.
you've got to assume, right? Like you can't release a game this big and not give your players stuff to start with.
Like Magic gave us 15 decks. Granted, they were all bad, but there was 15 decks.
And we do know how Japan likes to have that for gacha for like so as long as things aren't just time locked and like oh you can only earn this card in a month like you like as long as if it's an alt art I don't care that's fine as long as they don't start restricting stuff you can only get this elemental hero blade edge in this 2 week period or the gacha type thing where you have to pull for specific cards and not booster boxes right like Konami have had no benefit of doubt. Like I will, Konami's a terrible publisher, in terms of games, but everything we've seen here, fingers crossed, and Duel Links isn't the most exploitative of the things in
No,
the
Duel
world.
Links is actually really nice for players if you
Exactly.
keep on playing. Like Duel
Yeah,
Links
exactly.
rewards you for keep on playing.
So like, I have some faith, and the things I'm seeing here, I'm like, you could easily monetize this to substitute people actually playing the game. Like, what I don't want is an over monetization on the cards themselves, and
Yeah.
the fact that they haven't just come out and said that is kind of.
So
eh,
from what we read on the initial description of the Master Duels from that whole digital next, that it is covered on our channel actually.
mhm.
They did say that some of the cards will be only obtainable from the events, but
Yeah, but
from
they
what
don't
I
say like
understand, those are
all
not
art.
going to be like the top cards that you need to play. It might be an alternative artwork, Dark Magician Girl, Dark Magician. It might
Yeah,
be the God cards, which are not highly playable.
well,
But
I'd
but
be okay if it's all art. I wouldn't be okay if it's just like so. Oh, here's Dark Magician, and the only way you can enter it is by entering this Dark Magician event that comes around like every 3 months. Like, I wouldn't be cool with that, but
I
I
would be
mean,
fine if it was for gaining God cards, because God cards are not playable. They are collectible.
I guess we'll see. We'll see. Like that, we're just speculating at this point. So, have
Yeah.
we got any more on Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel before we get onto our next bit of information?
For Master Duel, I don't think so.
Uh,
It's if you want to check out more, there is some gameplay that is being shown on the channel, and the channel is Yu-Gi-Oh! Card EU, which is interesting for me to see that it is actually all of the stuff is uploaded to the EU, and they do have Exodia. So you know what I will be playing.
Yeah, that looks like a finishing animation that they've got for the game.
Yes,
Actually.
yes, we have seen it a few times already.
Uh, is there a if you go back to the mates section quickly, like because I think they show off the mates, um, like when they're talking about the titles and stuff, they show all the mates in the game currently. Well, like the mates that they have available in the game at the moment.
Yes, they
Um,
did show that somewhere.
yeah, it's just before the titles.
So this is titles. I don't think they showed all that are available, because
Well, it's not all of them, but you get a good idea of them. So they go through player name, it's after titles.
it's after titles.
Yeah. Oh, you've gone past it.
Of course I did. I'm not sure they click on them. Yeah, they don't.
They
don't.
do. They do. I am like 80% sure they do.
Like, so am I, but they didn't.
Huh. Maybe they cut it? That's weird.
I'm
sure they showed it off.
I know I've seen it somewhere. Oh, here actually I managed to pause at a really good time. You can see the special finish I was talking about from the gameplay.
Oh, yeah.
They
Okay,
do look a bit like Ultimate or the Starlight Rares.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
But that's the special finish, so I'm quite happy that if a card is, for example, in Ultra Rare, you don't need to keep on getting, you know, for the high foiling on things like that, for the crafting. You craft an Ultra Rare. It's fine. In the game, it's the same.
Yeah.
And then you can get a fancy version.
Yeah.
And then shall we move on to the big topic?
Yeah, I think that rounds us on nicely to the world is not fixed yet.
Yeah. So there was 3 major events announced, 2 for Yu-Gi-Oh, 1 for Flesh and Blood. For the European one for Flesh and Blood was the very first calling, which is an open tier 2 or tier 3 event for Flesh and Blood. So you can go in, it's kind of like European Championship, but everyone can play. It was the very first one run in Europe because the game is published by New Zealanders. Yes? People from New Zealand.
Kiwis.
We can't say that.
Yeah, we can.
People from New Zealand. The main market is obviously United States, because the biggest market. But we finally managed to get our first one in Europe, in Utrecht. And then the lockdown in Utrecht happened. First it was moved, then it was cancelled. I'm still trying to get my train fare back. Sadly, the same thing happened to the Yu-Gi-Oh tournament, which was also supposed to be in Utrecht in Europe, and it got cancelled. And the third event was supposed to be in LA. It was the Yu-Gi-Oh event, again the Yu-Gi-Oh Championship Series in LA, in Pasadena. And that didn't got cancelled, that got changed to the remote duel, which got some people up in arms. Because, for example, Digimon as well, European Championships are done as a webcam event. And I think American events are also done as a webcam event, which got quite a few people up in arms.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because Americans were supposed to be doing in person, but I think then it got changed to webcam. I might be getting that wrong. But I don't think I am, because I read some sort of conversation between people. So generally a lot of those major events are now being run over webcam. And that's sadly where we are, right? There was a lot of problem with webcam events. People don't like them.
No, they do, but the alternative is nothing.
Yes, the alternative is nothing. People just go around and ask, oh, why can't we have in-person events? The one that always gets me is people in Europe comparing European situation to American situation. Because we had a conversation where Americans, the Dragon Ball Championships, Americans had in person and Europeans had on the webcam. And people were going on about why Americans can do it in person, why Europe can't do it in person. And people missing the big thing from the picture, the bigger picture, that America is just one country. All the regulations are within that country. It's easy to get people together. In Europe, we have, off the top of my head, at least 15 countries where the Dragon Ball is being played. And international travel is not that easy. Not to say that every country accepts different vaccines.
Yeah, it's a weird one, right? Like, because you're always going to find those people with differing opinions. Like, whether you're pro-vaccination or against it, that's your choice, and we're not here to tell you otherwise. But the matter of the fact is, when you're a company, when you're a corporation, you have to look at the bigger picture, right? You've got to look at the optics. No matter how much you are excited as a player to play in person again, and God knows I'm excited to play again in person, but like, it's not worth risking people's lives over. It's like, end of the day, fundamentally, it's not. And the way the world is currently going, it's the right call to just put these things online, suffer for it. It's not like these are never going to come back to live events. Once the world is fixed, guys, they'll happen. But at least right now, you're getting to play with more people that you wouldn't normally play with, because the travel element of these events isn't a factor. It isn't an issue. So you do see like more people from around your country. Nothing. I mean, Europe's the biggest example, right? We're European, and you look at the Digimon event, you look at the Dragon Ball event, and we got way more people playing, like, from those countries that normally wouldn't play in the event because they can't travel to England. And so it was a nicer mix and a nicer diversity. And it's great meeting players and stuff from across those countries. Like, I had a great time talking with lots of Portuguese players, some Italian, you know what I mean? Like, normally you wouldn't get that experience apart from the bigger names that we can reach out to. And I think that's really humbling. And it's something that, like, even stemmed back to when we were in the midst of this and the first event they held for Digimon in Europe, and I had judged it. And it was great seeing that it was all these players, not just predominantly UK, like, which it would have been if it wasn't online.
Yeah, there is that border that's being taken away. You don't need to spend money to travel. You just need to get your deck. You need to get a webcam. You need to have internet connection.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to do what you love to do. Is I'm going to be a devil's advocate.
Oh no!
I'm going to take your role. There is a lot, and it's not something that I generally believe in or not believe in. It's not my opinion, but it is a general sentiment that I heard being repeated a lot. Is a lot of people don't have or don't want to spend money for a webcam, a good webcam, or they don't have a good internet connection, or they don't have a good PC, or they purposefully make their connection bad so it can cut off and then they suddenly can have better cards.
Yeah, again, the ease of cheating is irrelevant, right? Like, it is a relevant factor.
People will always try to cheat. It's just, it is easier to do while you play over webcam, while we're not changing the fact that people will always try to cheat on those tournaments, because that's the human nature.
I was going to say, yeah, people who cheat will cheat. It doesn't matter whether it's in person or online. The problem is it's easier online. But, again, and this is something I think a lot of people overlook, with webcam games, a lot of people record them. And
now
so they're catching stuff after the fact.
Now they do. But at the beginning, people were a bit more
trusting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you want to believe that everyone's playing on the fair game, right? You want to believe that. And so like it's the same thing with COVID numbers, right? Like, the more you test, the more you're going to find. So the more you record and the more you check, there's the more way to prove someone's cheating. Whereas in real life, it's kind of a he said, she said type scenario, right? Like, you're very rarely going to catch cheating unless it's a stream match, which is technically a privilege, right? Like, being on a stream match is a privilege.
Yes.
That other players don't have.
It is, in general, it's more difficult to cheat in person but the cheats that happen in person are way more difficult to prove.
Yes, exactly. Which is why I think you see more people ousted and caught cheating on webcams
Yeah.
than you do in real life. So I think,
But there's
while yes,
also
there probably is more of it, but I think it's more of it because it's easier to catch.
but there's also a lot of TOs don't want to. It's very difficult because if they're going to accuse someone of cheating, disqualify them, they need to go through the whole process of getting that person banned. They need to report it to the publisher of the game. They need to go through all of that because the TO can't just ban a player on their own.
No.
And there's a whole situation that a lot of TOs are very careful when they can call something cheating. It's very thin line, and even myself from experience, it's very difficult to perceive someone's intention.
Right? Especially over webcam, right? Where things can go wrong. I know I've slipped up on webcam before. I mean, I held my hand up to it and admitted that I made a mistake. But if you just take that out of context and have that recording, it's like, oh well, he's clearly cheating. It's
Mm.
like, well, no, I made a mistake. So they, like you say, like where is that line? Like, do you ban everyone who gets DQ'd from a tournament when you never know if the intent is there? You know what I mean, right? Like, it's it's a slippery slope to say, okay, you made a mistake, you're DQ'd, you're banned from the game, goodbye. Like,
Yep,
repetition of that event, yeah, fair enough, but it's one of those slippery slopes, and I think
but
it's
that's
a
yeah.
it's a
Go on.
problem that isn't solvable, and the community is always going to be against cheaters, but context matters, and I think context gets lost on the internet quite a lot. It's always the narrative whoever you're listening to will put your spin on it, right? It's never
Yeah,
an unbiased presentation of facts.
yeah. It's but also people get very defensive because they don't want to admit that they did something wrong because they fear that they're going to be accused of cheating.
Yeah,
Just
no, no,
because they
that's
made
totally
a genuine mistake, they will go on and be accused of cheating.
right.
And I've seen that happen in different card games. I don't think I've seen that happen in Dragon Ball. I might be wrong though.
Okay.
But I've seen it in a few card games happening. And I know a lot of people are, even if I haven't seen that happening, a lot of people are just scared of doing that. The same way as a lot of people go to a tier 2 events or tier 3 events and they will be scared of calling judge.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing, right? Like, especially in webcam, it's like I'm glad more people are calling judges, but at the same time, it's one of those things, right? Like, card gamers need to just get in the mindset of calling a judge doesn't make you a bad person. Like, unless you're rule sharking, then you're just a dickhead. And
But if your opponent thinks that you're a bad person for calling a judge, then there is something wrong with that mindset.
yeah, like I think there's a stigma that people kind of self-impose about calling a judge when really the judges are there just to help maintain game state. Check a ruling, right? If you're unsure, like I've always said this, if you're unsure, just ask a judge. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Judges are there to make calls if there is no clear rule. Technically, it's your obligation to know how the game works, but come on, all the card games are complicated. There is different interactions, and then judges are supposed to be that unbiased person in the middle to help you resolve the conflict and make sure that the game progresses how it needs to progress. One of the things that I absolutely love about Flesh and Blood, the judge program, is that they put forward one of the first things. It's not a judge is not there to keep on giving penalties. If it's
Mm-hmm.
an easy fix for a bad situation, you fix the situation, you give a caution or you give a warning, and then you move on. But if it's a situation that was caught early on, you don't even give a warning. The
All right.
penalty
Okay.
is of information being revealed is the penalty enough.
Yeah.
You need to judge how it works. You're not always fixing, for example, the missed mandatory triggers and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's something, right? A lot of card gamers will spread from card game to card game. It's just the nature of the beast. they'll move from one game to another or play multiple, and you often see it where, well, in this game this would be ruled this way, and it's like, but
But you're
it's
not
not.
playing that game.
It's not that way though, and so I think that's something. And
To this day, I remember a player who called a judge on me in Dragon Ball tournament because I counted the amount of cards in my deck. Did you know
Okay.
that's illegal in Pokemon card game?
I did not know that.
Nor
did
did
not.
I, but he claimed it was.
Wait, how is it legal in Pokemon when Pokemon Online lets you, like, gives you a counter?
Apparently on the tournament you can't count the cards in your deck because you could be rearranging the cards in your deck. So what you need to do is count all the other cards.
Make it. I guess that works.
But he was playing mill deck, obviously.
It is what it is. But yeah, so to bring it back to our topic that we were trying to talk about here,
Yeah,
is just
we started on the webcam tournaments.
webcam versus. Well, I mean, cheating is a huge part of the webcam versus in-person event. But at the same time, like I think it is right. If you come at it logically, you have to abide by what the government of that place is doing.
Yes.
You've got to look at what game you're playing and how it is, because Wizards is American,
Yes.
Konami is Japanese, Bandai is Japanese.
Yeah, but Konami events are run by respective branches.
True, but still, it's getting product from elsewhere. There's shipping restraints to it, and then you've got to obey by different laws depending where you are.
Yeah, but for example, Konami Europe never did the remote YCS, as far as I know. And the one that was supposed to be in Utrecht was cancelled or not changed into remote YCS, whereas the American one was changed to remote YCS.
Well, that'll be a resource thing, won't it? It'll be a logistical and resource thing. Because the US office will obviously be bigger and have a better infrastructure. Whereas Europe, again, it sees the problem is everyone views Europe as one thing. And I know a lot of Japanese companies do this. They see Europe and they think it's one thing. When logistically it's not. Europe is a bunch of different things under one umbrella. Whereas America is America.
Even if we just look at the major places, so for Yu-Gi-Oh we have Germany, Portugal, Spain, France, UK. So there's five countries at least. Those are like the biggest spenders. Oh, Italy, 6.
Yeah, so you're already split 6 ways.
Yeah.
And so it's especially in the midst of a pandemic, like you've mentioned, with traveling and everything that goes into it, vaccination statuses, the rules of the place that, like, Konami can't do an event if Germany is locked down.
Yep.
They just can't.
I mean,
it's not going to happen.
But my point was that they essentially translate in US. They started doing the webcam YCS, whereas in Europe they didn't.
That's true, and that sucks. That really does suck. I had the opposite problem sometimes with players using judge calls to try rule shark me, but that's few and far between. It sucks when people try and rule shark. Like, it really does.
Apparently the chat is not working on our stream. I just noticed.
Oh no. Well, we'll fix that for next time. Hopefully you'll be able to see yourselves on chat.
Sorry guys if we missed some of the messages.
But yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough. Do they give a reason why there's no online equivalent?
I think it's just different decision by a different office.
Yeah, probably.
But it also might be the problem. In Europe, we have faced this with the card market events for Dragon Ball, right? Some people are still waiting for their prizes.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for almost a year for my judge compensation.
I thought you got that.
Nope.
Oh my god. You should probably email about that.
I already gave up on this. I'm just saying that it probably got lost in the postage somewhere.
I mean, yeah, postage is a nightmare because of Brexit. That's a whole other thing.
Not only Brexit, it's just the pandemic is just stopping a lot of postage going on.
Yeah. It's a nightmare.
Yeah. The thing with America is we are not all one thing necessarily. We just conform to the state with the highest regulations in general, but states are highly incentivized to fall in line.
More logistically speaking.
Yeah, well, United States is one of the biggest countries in the world. You do have 50 states, I want to say, or 52, something like that.
American state.
The Americans, yeah.
The Americas.
And I know that you're one country. It's generally easier to get everything going in one place. That's why Dragon Ball had the in-person event.
Yeah, it doesn't. The supply line, everything is just
Yeah.
America, right? Like, I mean,
It's
obviously, you can
United
correct
States.
me if I'm wrong,
If you're
but
in
like,
Canada, suddenly you have delays.
yeah, but like, you go from state to state, you should be fine, right? Like there's nothing stopping you, right? I'm fairly certain there's nothing stopping you going state to state in America.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I've only ever been in LA, so I don't have much to.
That's what I mean, right? Like, only ever been in like certain parts of the country. Why would you ever cross?
And I never crossed the state line anywhere.
Exactly. So, I can't see it being like, oh well, you're going here. You can't ship this from, say, Texas to California, right? Like,
It feels a bit like crossing the border in European Union. You just don't feel it. You just go over.
it's strange. Strange.
That's how I.
But yeah, I think again, yeah, you're looking at two different teams here. It's I'm sure they want people to be playing, but I guess if logistically and maybe they just don't contract, like, because do Konami run it themselves, or do they go to like TC or something?
I know that they don't do their own stream.
Yeah, but do they do their own tournament? That's the important. Like, when they do YCS Europe, who's doing that?
I want to say that they do it with the support of some companies, but for example, I'm looking at the American side now, and they have an email for a place called thesidedeck.com.
So again, but that's the American version. We don't have much information.
Yeah, no, but it just suggests that this is not Konami. This is a local game store.
So I mean, it might be possible. I mean, and that there's nothing stopping you, and states can make their own regulations. Okay, fair enough. And 99 out of 100, it's not a problem. It can be a problem, but your point stands, right? Okay, so you can just go from Texas to next to Texas. That's fine. Yeah. Why am I stuck on Texas? It's because it's big. Texas is just huge.
Isn't that the biggest state?
You're asking me geography questions about a country I barely want to go to at the best of times.
We do need to go sometime.
We will go, but like, it probably won't be to Texas.
I need to avoid Nevada as much as I can.
No offense, Texans. There are a beautiful, like, I think Evan's from Texas. Oh, well, you say from Texas, but that's like, it's bigger than the UK, isn't it?
I don't know. Their map is all weird either way because it's not proportionate.
Doesn't matter. We're talking about geography. Basically, end of the day, if there's not going to be an in-person event, I would much rather there be a webcam alternative. I think that's a very fair compromise.
Yeah.
But you have to understand logistics in this time is very difficult, and it might just not be feasible to do the entirety of Europe the way Konami does it. Just because another game does it different, that's a different game. You can't apply the same logic as, oh, well, Wizards does this, but Konami does this. Like, you can't apply what one company is doing to the other company. You can compare, for sure. Yeah, it's like, well, Wizards have done this. Well, Wizards let go of their entire pro roster, didn't they?
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, Wizards doesn't have Channel Fireball anymore to run their events as well. Wizards decided they're running their own things.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Hopefully they can announce some sort of YCS event for the UK in the near future. Well, Europe in general. Because it sucks that players don't get to play those events. The events that are cancelled, they should be... Because people have to qualify for it, right?
For...
The one that got cancelled, or was it just a...
No, it's an open event.
Oh, okay, then it's not too bad then.
No, both of the ones that got cancelled were open events.
So the ones that were cancelled was Pasadena and Europe. Aldrich?
No, Pasadena was changed into the webcam one, and
Okay.
Flesh and Blood Utrecht and Yu-Gi-Oh Utrecht both got cancelled.
But they were open events.
They were both open events, yes.
So it's not terrible, right? Because at the end of the day, you're not missing out based on participation. You're throwing down the line, which sucks. It really does
For
suck
Flesh
to
and
look
Blood, it's
forward.
actually quite a big deal because the game is 2 years old now, and it was the first major event in Europe.
Yeah, I get that. I get the prestige of it, and I get the impact of it. But
Like, I remember the very first open tournament in Europe for Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
In Bochum. That thing was huge for everyone who went there.
Yeah, but there wasn't a global pandemic at the time.
Yeah, that is true, but I'm just saying that that was really responsible for a good boom of the interest in the game.
No, I agree. I totally agree. But like, what's worse, right? As a company, okay, you got this event.
You definitely don't want to have 1,000 people coming to you later on saying, "Well, I got COVID because you ran the event."
Yeah, right. Card game company, in spite of every bit of advice, runs event. Bunch of people get COVID. Yay! Boom for the TCG. It's getting main press coverage. Yeah, no, it's just not worth it. And maybe they just maybe they just don't have the infrastructure there to run an online event. Like, has many official
Flesh and Blood
online events?
is actually not a big fan of online event. They do have a similar system to the Grand Archive Omnidex app, but they don't have those card prizes, etc. Those are only done for playing in the local events, and it's the typical, there's a playmat, there's some promos, and you just get it for top 4, I think, or for the winner in 4 tournaments in a month or something like that.
So again, if the company's not even really focused online, then you can't really expect them to give you the alternative if that's not what their philosophy is.
Yeah, I
Which
don't think
sucks.
Flesh and
I'm not
Blood looks
saying
at that
it's
at all.
good.
It's too young of a company to be thinking about the online client in here.
I think wait and make your impact when the world's, because I think this is what we're seeing, right? Like, you get this. Yes, it's going to be frustrating, and some people will drop the game because they can't play. That's totally understandable. If that's your position you're in, it's like, well, I've got all these cards. I keep buying new cards, and by the time I'm able to play, they're not going to be relevant. I'm out.
But that's a brilliant
That's
thing
fine.
about Flesh and Blood, right? They do 2 sets a year.
Yeah. So you never stretched, right? You never.
Exactly.
Oh no, there's a new set out this month.
But the problem is, if you don't have your play group, you have nothing to do with those cards. That's what kind of put me off, right? Because I do way too many things at once, and I don't have a play group.
No. And so, like, where I'm going with this is just basically like, when events do start to return to normal, and it just might be some time. And 2022, if looking at it, the thing is, we're not learning from what keeps happening. So until the powers that be learn to do what they do, then everything's just going to get repeated, and there's nothing. We can't blame the companies that are beholden to the law of the places they want to run events, because that's idiotic. Like, that's like me blaming you for us not succeeding. Like, how dare you? How dare you, Loki? How dare you? But like, when they do come back, I think we're going to see a big, not a tsunami, but like a big push of people wanting to play because they've been deprived of it for so long. And I think in the long term, Flesh and Blood, right? As long as they don't go, oh well, we're done, which they weren't because they're making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Then when that event does happen and it is safe for everyone to come together, you're gonna get these people who are thirsty to play. Like, people who are like, I'd go to an open event in Aldrich for Flesh and Blood. Like, I mean, I played Prism and won my pre-release. That's my only experience with Flesh and Blood as an actual card game. I like looking at the pretty cards, don't get me wrong. But I would go to that and just be like, cool, let's do it. If I do well, awesome. If I don't, doesn't matter. It's more just playing a card game with people, but knowing it's safe.
Just meeting the community, right? Getting some people's reaction, just seeing that first event in Europe as well, right?
Yeah, so there's a pride in that. So I think rather than rush it, right, you just have to exercise patience. And that's like, you are valid in your frustration. You are valid to be upset.
We all want to be able to meet up and play. Sadly, we had a couple of times where we were planning to film and then lockdown started in the UK.
Yeah. Like, it sucks. And it does suck because, especially when you have great ideas and stuff and things are moving forward, and then it's just like, well, that's not happening.
Yeah.
I mean, when I originally came on, we had a plan to go across Europe,
Yes, I
and
was planning to go across Europe.
well, we had a
Then
hotel booked for the first one.
yes, because we were
Everything
going
was
for the card market in somewhere in Spain.
Italy. Was it? Oh, Italy, wasn't it? Yes.
Madrid?
Oh, it could have been. Yeah. I don't wherever it was. We had our hotel booked. We had a team
Yeah,
going,
and it all got cancelled.
and yeah. So ever since then, we've been on a kind of we'll just wait, and
And
that's
we're
where
in
we're at with
year
it.
2 of 2-week lockdown.
Yep.
No,
It's just one of those
another thing
things.
was we were planning to do the draft of Divine Multiverse.
Oh yeah, that was gonna be great.
That was ages ago. Because if you
Yeah.
think about that, we had in the meantime another draft box product, and then they discontinued the draft box products.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, where we come to with online events, like I'd like at least for me, I would rather play events online than not have any events at all. And I don't really know that many people who, unless they're really vindictive, would have that philosophy of, oh well, if I can't play the way I want, then we shouldn't play at all. Because I don't like how is that healthy for anything? So
I'm
that's
really
where I
struggling
land.
not to say anything, but
That's not about anyone in particular. I just don't understand the mindset of well, if we don't have in-person events, then we shouldn't play at all. It's like well, at least online.
I can't understand that reasoning. That's for sure. Because we need. It's one of those things. It is a trading card game or card game if it's Dragon Ball or collectible card game, whatever it is. It's a card game in every case. So you need
Mhm.
to be able to sit down and play. And in many cases, you're not able to if you don't go to the tournaments, be it local tournaments. Some people are more competitive; they want to play in bigger things, but they just don't feel like webcam is the right place for them. And probably it's not. I played a couple of those events. Communication problems, camera problems, technical problems. It all amounts to a loss of time,
Mm.
which judges were not very willing to, give. If I was
Mm.
sitting and waiting for 3 minutes for my opponent to sort the camera, I was not given any time extension.
No, no. I mean, but you start doing that, it's going to just be a nightmare.
Yeah, but
um,
then it's kind of unfair because
yeah, no. I'm not.
if I'm
I'm not
playing a slow
disagreeing.
deck, my opponent is playing a fast deck. They're in advantage if we have less time.
Yeah, no. There are issues like that, and that is very fair. But I mean, to start giving everyone time extensions for technical hiccups, that tournament's just gonna run forever and ever and
But the
ever.
thing is that technical things should be sorted by a player from their end because it's like knowing how the game works. It's your obligation to make that work.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
That's
That's
just my opinion. I think we should be able to play webcams, but the reason I'm not playing webcams is I got way too much into sealed games, which you
mm,
can't do on a
yeah.
webcam.
No, I'm not saying you have to play webcam. Like what I'm saying is like the option of would you rather IRL or nothing is because like that's what I see quite a lot of the time is like essentially, oh well, webcams don't matter, webcams this, webcams that. It's like, yes, but the alternative is that the company just doesn't do anything, which is way worse for the game in the long run
Yes,
than
because that
people.
doesn't give you incentive to buy the product, right?
Well, that and
If you
just
know
like
that, let's look at Dragon Ball, which has which has a product every 5 weeks, I think, at the moment.
well, not at the moment, but yeah, generally like every 2 months essentially.
Sure, let's say every 2 months. If you were told that for the next half a year there's going to be no event at all, they're just not allowing you to play because it's either webcam and no one wants to play webcam, so we're not even running webcam events, no regionals, no nothing.
Mm.
What's your incentive to buy that product that, with how the Dragon Ball is being designed, is going to be obsolete by the time the next competitive event comes? Unless
Exactly.
it's based on the theme that you really, really love and you want to keep just for the keepsake,
Mm.
then there is no point.
Exactly. So from the company's point of view, they need to keep running events just so they can keep selling their product, which is the whole point of the company.
Yeah, because
Like,
they need to make money.
yeah, right? Like that's business. Like, I'm sorry. Like that is just the reality of business. But yeah, to write off webcams just because they're not for you, I think it's the wrong way to look at them.
But now we are going about this is business. They need to run their in a right way to make money. There's one thing I don't enjoy in particular about Dragon Ball at the moment. Digimon is a different story, but Dragon Ball at the moment, there's one thing I don't enjoy since the Unison Warriors block started.
Mm-hmm.
Namely, they will stretch out their reveals. So there's pretty much, beside the Christmas period we just had, there's always something being revealed every day.
Yeah,
And
pretty much.
they start the reveals for the next product on the day that the previous product went on sale.
Mm.
As soon as I remember, it annoyed me with the anniversary box. On the day of release of set 10, which we were all excited for, on the day of release they showed us the Agents of Destruction deck from the anniversary box.
Mm-hmm.
On the day of release, when we were supposed to go out to our local game store and buy the product,
Yeah, that's
we
fair.
got immediately shown that brand new shiny thing that we want to buy,
Mm-hmm.
and then the brand new shiny thing that was in front of us stopped being brand new and shiny.
Yeah, I can get that, but I think that's going to be a topic for another day, because it's not really about webcams or.
No, I know, but it is one of those things that I wanted to talk for ages, and I just found an opening here when we talk about how the companies are being run. Because, of course, we can't blame them for the delay that's happening right now.
Yeah.
But there could be a better way of pacing their spoilers.
Yeah, spoiler season's probably a topic for the next episode at this point. So yeah, guys, thanks for Mr. Optimus Prime for chatting in the chat. It's much appreciated. We're gonna try and do this everything bi-weekly, hopefully, depending on news. If we get a lot of support, because you can super chat in, then we might make it a more regular thing. But until now, this was the first episode of Cardcast. We'll get the live chat working for next time, and look forward
We
to it in
organize
about
our
2
news a
weeks'
bit
time.
more as well. We're going to be collecting throughout the next 2 weeks everything that
Yeah.
we deem necessary, well, we deem interesting to talk about.
Yeah, and then eventually, if you remember, we'll put the show notes and stuff in the members area of our Discord, which you can join down below. And I think the member link is still in the description. So if you want to join us for 99p a month, it helps us, especially during the way the world is right now. But again, don't feel any pressure. So to round it up, what do we think of everything we talked about today? I think the most exciting thing for me is Master Duel, and as someone who despises modern Yu-Gi-Oh, that's impressive. That's an impressive feat for them to get me excited at
Yeah.
this stage. Wait until we see the monetization, then we might have a different discussion. But
I mean, there's monetization that definitely we need to see, but I still think I'll give it a fair shot.
yeah,
I still need
I'm
to.
not gonna put it down on what I've seen right now, because what I've seen right now is exciting.
Yes. There is the next video that's going to be on 19th of January showing us something. I don't remember off the top of my head what it was, but I know it was something I was interested in.
Well, there you go.
And we'll find out
So
on the 19th.
anything you want to highlight before we get out of here?
I think it's going to be exciting to see when we finally can go back to normal. It's going to be exciting to see how the new generation of card games is going to fit itself in.
Yeah, that's so true. I
'Cause
mean,
we have seen a decline in the all three biggest.
I mean, did you like? I think a final point here we should mention is Digimon launched in a pandemic and is becoming fastly one of the biggest TCGs.
That's the thing. We see a faltering in the top three, which was unthinkable for the last 20 years.
Yeah, like even in the pandemic, right? You had that Pokemon boom. It's like, it's undefeated, and then now Pokemon's like not on a shit. Like we're not doomsaying, right? Pokemon, Magic, and Yu-Gi-Oh, they're institutions. They're not going to just disappear overnight. They're not.
But
Like,
Magic actually dropped for 2 quarters in a row from the highest
Pokemon,
amount of players.
Yeah. So I mean, it is interesting. It is interesting. The world is changing, and again, we saw this with video games. We saw the rise of the indie because the overheads are lower, it's more passionate, and it's people who have learned from these big companies, seen where they've gone wrong, and can incorporate. We're also getting into this investor culture now, which is it's a strange world we live in where you can pay for a picture of a picture that you don't own and think it has value. But that's another rant about NFTs. I will not go on this channel.
Yeah, it's
But
one
yeah,
of the things that we're both very careful about with Grand Archive. I love the gameplay, I love the
yeah,
Omnidex
yeah.
app,
But we're
but
still very skeptical
yeah.
as it is an NFT project.
Oh,
And it's
one
like,
last thing I want to mention about Master Duel. That
oh,
reminded me when we started talking about the NFTs in the packs.
oh yeah,
I do hope that Master Duel is going to go the route of Pokemon, where you
oh
have
yeah,
the
put code packs in the like
yeah,
that would make me buy product again for Yu-Gi-Oh.
yeah, that's the thing, because you get double the value. If you buy a structure deck, you get the code to put it on your Master Duel account. I
Well,
would,
that's what I would do. I would get the star decks because they do Yu-Gi-Oh does put out, for their credit, as much as I hate it, they do put out like awesome legacy starter decks. I mean, I got the Charmer one
yeah.
that they put out. They've done a Cyber Dragon one not so recently. Recently, I don't know.
Recently
Um,
they did the Cyber Ducks.
that's it. That's
Before
the
that
one I
they
was
did
thinking of.
Cyber Dragons. They are doing another one. They recently did, well, recently, it's going to be, I think, a year and a half ago, Shadows.
I should also pass my time. um,
Yeah, but they keep
oh
on
yeah,
refreshing the archetypes people like.
yeah. It was
The
like
Ice Barrier is getting some stuff.
those legendary decks they did for a long time. Like I
Yes.
really love those. Imagine owning those in a game. I'd be super happy because I like you. I'm a lore person. I like playing on theme.
Yeah.
So for me, being able to play the Iotamias,
Oh
Critias,
god,
and
yes.
all that stuff, I love that. The Odd Eyes, I still own Odd Eyes collection, like Odd Eyes stuff, because I actually really like Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon and stuff. Um, and then the Sacred Beast, they got a starter deck as well.
Yeah, because
Um,
we're supposed to do a gameplay Charmers versus Sacred Beast.
just never happened.
Never
Just never
happened.
happened. I feel like that'd be very one-sided. Um,
I don't think so, but God knows.
yeah, who knows? Yeah. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. To end on a positive. We're both looking forward to it. So hopefully they give us more information soon. And let us know what you want to see from this card game cast. It is a community show. We're going to be talking about all things card games. And
If you
yeah,
have any topics you want us to cover, make sure to come to our Discord, which the link is in the description, and let us know.
yeah,
We're
like
always there. You can tag either Scott or myself in that Discord channel, and let us know what you want us to talk about. We will research the topics for the next one.
yeah, and hopefully we'll have a bit of a better flow, a bit of a better structure. But we're still like these card games. We're still figuring things out. But yeah, it's an exciting time to be a card gamer. There's lots of options out there, and you know, if there isn't an option for you, then now it's kind of viable to make your own. So, but not to cash grab. Like you actually have to put some thought into it. But that's right. We have been Players Guild. This has been the Cardcast, episode 1, the state of card games in 2022. I've been Scott Sedman, your guildmaster for Players Guild, and Loki Smith. Well, he's our Grand Archivist.
Thank you. I got the title for the Grand Archivist.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys for joining. Again, we are going to be doing this every 2 weeks. So mark your calendars. The event is going to be made. And this is going to be also on VOD. So if you missed it and you were just rewatching, or if you're planning to rewatch it, thank you for watching. And yeah, thank you guys for supporting us in this brand new endeavor. New year, new us. Anything else?
Nope, no, we're good. We can get out of
Good.
here.
Have a good night, guys.